is to increase the amount of the fine applicable where, among other things, a licensee has failed to comply with or has contravened the terms of a license or a directive. The clause also provides that where a licensee's failure or contravention continues after a determination has been made, the authority may impose a fine of up to $25,000 in respect of each day on which a licensee fails to comply or the contravention continues. This, Madam Speaker, is exactly what is missing from the law now, because whenever there's a fine, as it is, and the licensee decides to do what I said earlier, pay you no mind, there's nothing in the law now which creates the ongoing penalty as long as the infringement is unattended to or left alone. This section, Madam Speaker, is what the ICTA and the ICTA board believe firmly will get the attention of the licensees, because whenever they go through the whole process that the law calls for and they are told what the infringement is, what the corrective measures are that they have to take, this will then allow for a fine of up to $25,000 per day to be levied once they are found guilty of that offense, whereas that is not the case now. So this is intended, Madam Speaker, to ensure that the licensees comply with what they should comply with or face such fines as long as they don't comply. On the advice of the Attorney General, Madam Speaker, we also chose this opportunity to correct certain sections by way of deleting references to governor and cabinet, and as the constitutional requirement is now, it should be the cabinet rather than governor and cabinet. There's also one section in Schedule 2 which seeks to delete the reference to governor and cabinet and substituting in its place the word governor. That is simply to bring this existing legislation in line with the present constitutional arrangements. So, in essence, Madam Speaker, the ICTA and its board are desirous of having this tool to cause the licensees to be more compliant with the various requirements with regards their service to the customers. Madam Speaker, the House will recall that on a previous occasion, in fact, at the last meeting that we had, I spoke to these fines and that we were seeking legal drafting to get them ready. We now have these now. There are other matters that are being looked at, but we didn't want to wait because the ICTA and the board of the ICTA considered this a matter of urgency to get this done so that they could perform their duties better. So, Madam Speaker, without going on anymore, I think it's clear the intent of the bill. I trust that members will see it fit to support the bill, and I certainly commend it to this honorable House. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Recognize the fourth elected member from the District of Bordentown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to offer my support for this bill. I have noticed, Madam Speaker, that there is definitely a change in attitude at the ICTA now, and that the authority seems to no longer be just sort of drifting along. It does seem to have a good sense of purpose and direction, and I have to give credit to the new managing director and board members for that improvement. I do have a few short observations, Madam Speaker, that I'd like to talk about, and hopefully the minister in his winding up will also address those or respond to those. But the amendment to Section 58, Madam Speaker, I note that we're setting a blanket maximum penalty, and I was wondering if it wouldn't be more appropriate to maybe implement a schedule of various offenses with prescribed penalties. Because what I fear, Madam Speaker, is that with these very large blanket fines, is that a provider may choose to maybe not ignore the directions of the authority now, but maybe seek to appeal through the courts and continue to tie up the authority and make the administrative process of handing out fines a bit more convoluted and prolonged. In my mind, it might be better to have a series of smaller fines depending on the infraction, and then administratively these fines can be handed out to the offending providers. And because they're smaller and maybe only related to one offense or two offenses, the likelihood of the provider complying and paying the penalty, I think, is higher. I just wouldn't want to see us go down the road of doing all this work and still end up in a situation where licensees are not complying and not paying penalties. Madam Speaker, I fully support increasing the penalties for providers who violate their license agreements. But I just get concerned, Madam Speaker, about creating potentially more red tape. I am also concerned, Madam Speaker, and I think that the minister is doing what he can to address the non-compliance, because I can refer to, I think it was the 29th of October, or around about that time, that the ICTA actually modified all licenses, in particular those that relate to 911 service. And I won't go into detail of the modifications, but the long and short of it is that the ICTA, Madam Speaker, had understood that a lot of the 911 failures were not due to infrastructure problems here on island, but could have been related to failures as far away as Jamaica. And were. And I think that is, Madam Speaker, a real concern for us when our infrastructure that we have here in place on this island, or these islands, is working, but we are relying on infrastructures that are completely out of our control. And when you have failures such as 911 outages, we all know what could be the potential consequences of those. I dare say, Madam Speaker, that providers are relocating core infrastructure off island to jurisdictions where they can probably enhance their bottom line. But we do have to really examine the level of redundancy and reliability built into those networks. Madam Speaker, we're a global financial center, and I'm sure the Minister for Financial Services will agree with me that financial services are our bread and butter. And if we don't have a reliable and effective communications infrastructure in place, that can cascade down into the level of service we can offer in other areas. And I'm glad to see that the the minister is making some attempt to remedy this, but it has come to my understanding that even though the ICTA has given a direction and amended licenses, Madam Speaker, the provider still has not complied with that. We have to make these providers know that we do depend on them heavily, and we do appreciate what they do for us on a daily basis, but in terms of complying with their license agreements and not presenting a threat to our safety and security, they do have an obligation, and they have to be made to understood that we cannot accept anything less. Likewise, Madam Speaker, I don't believe that we have seen an improvement in the level of service offered when we see frontline support being hosted off island. And I think some of these providers, again, are taking advantage of lower wages and cost savings elsewhere. But it has become almost ridiculous, Madam Speaker, when someone in Cayman has a telecom issue and they pick up the phone to call their provider for assistance, and we end up talking to someone in India who is working on a problem in Jamaica that affects a problem here in Cayman. Not to mention, Madam Speaker, the language barriers. I don't know how many times I've called my provider for assistance and just in frustration hung up the phone. And it's ridiculous when they start to argue with me, not knowing my IT background, but telling me pure foolishness, what they think the problem is and what has to be done to correct it. I have to question whether or not these people are even certified technicians in some cases. Madam Speaker, I respect the right of any business to earn a profit and operate, but we really can't do it at the expense of paying customers here in these islands. We can't allow these providers to continue to cheapen the service that they provide, because as I said, that is going to cascade into the other services that depend on them. And I'm happy to see that the minister is taking action. We are, as according to the ICTA, the Cayman Islands are no longer just being affected by cyber attacks. We are now targets. We know that there are individuals and organizations throughout the world who are looking to target our businesses, our government, our citizens. And we know that we have to do more to protect us from these attacks. And I would hope, Madam Speaker, that in very short order, we will see a coordinated effort in place that involves not only the ICTA, but SEMA, police, home affairs, and any other entity out there that plays a role in protecting us from these attacks. I think the government has a duty and responsibility to ensure that our businesses and citizens are protected. And I can't stress, Madam Speaker, how serious this is. These individuals are not just doing this for fun anymore or to disrupt business. They are stealing personal information, business information, and selling it. And if they can't get to that, they try to steal your money. So I'd like to hear a little bit more from the minister when he winds up, Madam Speaker, on what is being done to prevent, maybe not prevent, but protect us from these increasing cyber attacks. Because I know that there are individuals involved at the ICTA who are very concerned, according to the latest press release, and they should be. Another area, Madam Speaker, that I would like to address is the number of mergers, telecom mergers, and business deals that are taking place that involve these telecom providers. Madam Speaker, when we first liberalized the market, we went from what was a very costly but reliable cable and wireless to a liberalized telecom environment that was slightly less expensive, but in my mind, it's still overpriced. And Madam Speaker, we have seen a number of providers come and go. And we've seen quite a number of the local players get involved in international mergers and acquisitions. But I'm getting concerned that as these corporations grow through the process of mergers, and these are designed for rapid growth and expansion, that we have gone from being maybe the breadwinner for one provider to just a line item on their income statement after the merger. And there is the danger that we could drop in or become lower in priority for some of these companies because they operate in so many different jurisdictions and have such a very wide customer base and rely on a very high volume to sustain their bottom line. So what I haven't seen in the ICTA law, and maybe I've missed it, is any sort of mechanism in there, Madam Speaker, that will give the authority more of a say in how these acquisitions operate, what the end result will be. What I'd like to see is that the ICTA have the ability to be more involved in how some of these acquisitions and mergers operate and how they're structured, what the end result would be. Because my fear is that at the end of some of these business deals, we become so obscure and unimportant in the big scheme of things that there is no real incentive to invest further here and to make improvements here. So hopefully there is something coming, or there is something that I may have missed in the law that I haven't seen it. But that is, I think, a major concern for me. The Liberty acquisition that recently took place, I think is a good example of that because they're so, they have such a broad base, customer base, and they operate in so many different jurisdictions. There is a slight danger there, Madam Speaker, that we could become less important as far as their business model is concerned. So we just need to, Madam Speaker, ensure that when these mergers and acquisitions take place, that we preserve the level of service and customer care that we demand from our licensees. And I would hope that the minister could also address that concern when he winds up. That was really it for me, Madam Speaker. I support these amendments. I want to commend the minister and the government for bringing them forward and for moving our telecom industry forward. And I will wait to hear from the minister. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? The Honorable Member from East End.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to hope and believe that these new provisions will help. Madam Speaker, we currently have provisions for $25,000 fine. And nothing has been done to collect those. Now, Madam Speaker, I think people believe ICT licensees are merely for telephone. And that's not true. Radio, television, people who put in lines, they all got to be licensed. I spoke to an old lady sometime a few weeks ago, one of my constituents, and I said to her that I couldn't get her because these carriers, we have a problem with these carriers. She said, carriers? They're not carriers, they're droppers. Now that was the best I've ever heard it put. Droppers, drop the phone, drop the call. Madam Speaker, there's so many things that we need in our services in this country. Madam Speaker, when this country started its upward mobility, especially so in the financial industry in the 60s, and two things made us more competitive or capable of carrying on financial services in the Caribbean than anyone else. And that was telephony and electrification. Those two were to Cayman like Chevrolet is to America, the heartbeat of America. Those were the heartbeat of our success. Madam Speaker, regardless of how we want, whether whoever want to say what they want about it, that was what made us what we are. Other Caribbean islands, no disrespect to them, electrification, it was dropping out every day, 4 or 5 times a day. It was a rare occurrence when electricity went off in this country island-wide. Telephone, it was a rare occurrence when those law firms and accounting firms couldn't connect with someone overseas. Even in the days when we had to use massive buildings to get the switch inside. Today it's on a laptop. Technology has moved on so fast. The equipment that is needed now. Now, Madam Speaker, we have seen much happening in this country. We deregulated it to get competitors in. And, Madam Speaker, I must say to you, it has gotten worse. Madam Speaker, they do as they please. We have a $25,000 provision for fines in the current law. Madam Speaker, that the ICTA is allowed to apply that $25,000 fine for every contravention of the law, of the license. Now, Madam Speaker, for a minute, let us think that part of the licensee's responsibility is to provide a service at this level, at a particular level. That's part of their license. Under, I think it's 72. No, I think it's 72 of the law. Service standard and data protection. Now, Madam Speaker, one only needs to be able to apply that $25,000. One only needs, because remember now part of this is they can't advertise anything false either. One only needs to look at how they structure their systems for data delivery to one's house. And I am here to tell you, Madam Speaker, that we have around 50,000 livable places in this country. And they will sell us 10 megabytes of data. And I would venture to say, Madam Speaker, that there are very few people in this country gets 10 megabytes of data available to them. For every one of those that they do not provide, they are in contravention of their license. So we really don't need to get it up to 500,000, because what we are doing is legislating morality and hoping that they'll do it, and it'll frighten them. Madam Speaker, one of the things when I took office as a minister, this was had just been deregulated. And they were supposed to roll out a whole new system, all of the new entrants and cable and wireless that was here. Madam Speaker, to this day, it has not been rolled out. Madam Speaker, I live in Savannah, and it's still hardwired. It's not fiber optic. There is nothing in East End and North Side. Madam Speaker, it is really unheard of. It is really ridiculous in a day when technology is changing every year, 18 months or thereabouts, and it's so available. And these people sit there and do nothing. And I am saying to the minister, Madam Speaker, that 25,000 that was there, you could have applied that 10,000 times in one day on every one of them. Now, if he believes that $500,000 is going to assist us, then I welcome it, providing we apply it. Because if we had put 25,000 on them then, after all these years, they would have had outstanding fines on them now. It just doesn't make sense to put the provision there and you're not using it. We have to use it. Madam Speaker, I welcome, and Madam Speaker, I don't know too much about this. They advertise and they tell you that they are providing for them little cell phones 4G. I wonder how many people got 4G on their phones. How many of us right in here has 4G? Madam Speaker, they cannot falsely advertise to gain customers. And that's what they're doing. Madam Speaker, now that we're on the phone, on the telephones, let me stay on that a little longer. I want to ask the minister to look into this. Every minute of the day, I'm getting texts. And it comes from 426-3. Are you a winner? Text Rio to 4263 to find out. You could win a dream trip for 2 to the Olympics plus other great prizes. $1 per SMS. Madam Speaker, they need to stop it. ICTA need to tell these people it's not a matter of me opt-in as to whether or not I get text for advertisements. It's a matter of people who want them opt-in to go and do it. Madam Speaker, I have a contract with my provider, and they have no business using my equipment to send me a message. Whether it's for charity or not, I do not want it, and I didn't sign up for it. But they do as they please. And here I am, can't even make a telephone call. And I'm paying through my ears for the service and not getting it. I want to know how this $500,000 is going to be applied. I hope it's on my phone, because mine is dropping out there in a minute. It's up to $500,000 and $25,000 for every day that it continues. Is why changing it for. It was $25,000 before. Huh? I know, but ICTA wasn't doing it. I know it was there when I was there. But you know what I had to? You know what I had to deal with? Madam Speaker, it is sad that this country and its people are being taken advantage of, and we're doing nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. You couldn't hold a decent conversation on these carriers even if you had milk can and cord to the other person. That's not what we're paying for. And they're making millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in this country, and they won't do their rollout. They won't even change the equipment. They have no redundancy like this, the fourth elected member from Baden Town say. If there is too much traffic, they need to drop some people off. And that's where we call them the droppers. That's the dropper then. You're driving along on a conversation. And Madam Speaker, before you can finish that conversation, It could be a 911 emergency call you're on. And they drop it. And as soon as you complain, you're miserable. Madam Speaker, every time I go pay for my telephone, that's good money. You know? That's good money. You don't want to know what a phone bill is. And since we're on that one now too. About bill. Madam Speaker, some of these ICT providers, they charge you for your bill. Charge you $3 for it. And then if you question the amount of your bill, and they need to go back into the archives to print off the full activity sheet, they charge even higher for that. Every time, Madam Speaker, I go to Foster's, they print out a thing, tell me what was her part, you know. Then they tell you go into some environmental fund. When the last time we get that? So you don't cut down no trees. You see us cutting down any trees with paper around there? No, Madam Speaker, that needs to stop. I'm talking about the television too. Madam Speaker, you pay, how much for the whole thing? $130 per month, whichever one. And you could be in the middle of the news and it go, phone, no access. Madam Speaker, you really think that, right? The ICT providers too, you know. Madam Speaker, half the time it's not working. I don't know if they're not paying the people, the providers, and then they run out or something. We need to get better service. But Madam Speaker, you know, every time the ICTA requires ICTA provider to do anything, Madam Speaker, let me rephrase that. They can't get the fees from them that they need to pay their annual fees for their license. How they gonna get fines from them? That's a fact. Some of them don't even pay their fees. And remember, I said radio stations are involved in this too, Madam Speaker. They don't even pay the fees. How you gonna get the fine? It doesn't make sense. We cannot legislate morality and hope they're going to do it. I'm just dumbfounded that we have absolute control and we won't apply it. And Madam Speaker, I'm telling you today, the minister within a short period of time is going to come back to deal with this. Because the first fine that the ICTA apply or issue of $150,000, they're going out that courthouse with you. They got to find some reason, go to the courthouse. They got to lock you up in court case out there. They got to lock you up in what's called mediation. They got to lock you up in it. And that's the right word, right? Arbitration or mediation, whichever. And then that got to last 2, 3 years, 4 years. And by that time, they have contravened a million other things. Then you lose again. Ben, you think they worried about that? Madam Speaker, it's sad. My son up in UK is paying £17. Am I right? 15. For 50 megabyte. And the boy tell me he want more. For what? Daddy, the computer slow. Well, how many you got on it? He increased it by £9 maybe, or £7, something like that, Madam Speaker. And he got him 120. And when he tells me when he log on and go look at the properties, would be to see it right there. He come home and he beat me out the house. Son, I got 10. And he look at it and he say, you only got 2.2. Madam Speaker, it can't be right, man. And my son has beaten me every time he come home that he can't even talk to his friends. And I'm paying for 10. I'm paying more for 10. What is? $15 some dollars? I don't know. I don't even know. I forget about how much it is now. Madam Speaker, it's wrong. That cannot, by no stretch of the imagination, that can be right. Then they give you the repeater. Is that what it's called? They sell you that. That's another piece of equipment. And make sure 25. Yeah, the Wi-Fi. Yeah, the repeater. Yeah, the sender. The extender. Yeah. And make sure none of the wall in front of it. Because it's not coming around the corner either. Come on, man. I see my son got one little thing like this, extender, and we can pick it up half mile from the house. I mean, they're making the equipment for us here in Cayman. Some rogue company somewhere in wherever, what? Or when it's redundant up there, then they bring it down here. Madam Speaker, we must demand more in this country. Because no other place this size provides the kind of money that we do for this supposed to be good service. If we get 30% of the service that we contract with these people to do, we're getting plenty. Can you imagine, Madam Speaker? We wouldn't know what to do with it if we get the full service. We wouldn't know what to do with it. Those phones would be so fast that it would blind you. Madam Speaker, the member from Bodden Town spoke of it. You know, man called for 411 or 811. Madam Speaker, I've never in my life heard more Chongling Fangting Tai Chu. They don't know. Madam Speaker, something is wrong with that. And they say the reason is that it's cheaper to do it there. So they do it there, but collect our money here for not providing a good service. You see the catch-22 we're in? I don't know how our law firms can operate anymore unless they got a switch inside there that is better than what they provide for us. I hope so. Because if our law firms and our accounting firms and our management firm, company registration management firms in this country is as bad as the private sector get, the domestic services, we couldn't survive 2 days. Madam Speaker, one of these, I think, have this thing for electronic transfer coming up and stuff like that. You really think I'll be able to get that? Madam Speaker, I guarantee you from one bank to the next, it got to take 6 months to reach there. Right now it's 3-4 days before you clear your checks. It got to take 6 months. The economy got to slow down even worse. Internet speed, you go on about internet speed in Cayman. That boat, you got faster than that. No, Madam Speaker, I'm aggravated that your bill can be $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, and you're paying for everything but not getting the service. That's not right. I hope the ICTA shut the eye and start applying fines. But I'm encouraging the country, the people of this country, every time, of course, they got to tell their response is going to be the equipment you're using, right? You need to buy a new phone. Mind they sell you that phone, you know? Yeah, they lock in contracts that you can't change. And they don't give you any incentive being it. ICTA has a lot of work to do. I'm sorry for the minister. You're paying an arm and a leg for the phone. And within a short period of time, it's gone down. You got to go and pay another arm and a leg. Madam Speaker, I got something called I6, 3G. This not compatible with 4G or what? I thought this was the latest thing on the market. I know they got 6S, but this got to be the same thing compatible with 4G. They're not providing it for us. You go to Miami, as you get in there with AT&T up there, 4G. But then you got to watch out because that roaming charge. You need mortgage your children, pay for that when you get back here. You got to tell me in today's technological age. Madam Speaker, I just see my son over in California using his British phone. And I say, son, he said, but Dad, I don't pay for this. So what do you mean you don't pay for it, son? He said, but Dad, I don't pay for this. That's why I'm using this, and I'm using the Cayman one. He don't transfer them, wait till he come home with that little pin, you know. He don't pay for it, Madam Speaker. You know, man, go Cayman brag. You got Roman charge stuck on you? And what if you go little Cayman? Charge it double down, little Cayman. No, man, Madam Speaker, we as people cannot survive in this country. The economy in this country is bursting at the seams to keep up with the technology. When everywhere's got it for free, you go to America or you go to Europe, everybody's advertising. Come with me, I can give you free 24 weekends. I can give you free whatever. Madam Speaker, or they give you at least a couple of little cars free. Here, I don't know. The other thing is, Madam Speaker, I don't know if the voicemail, but I don't know if when you call that, all of a sudden now they changed that, and the recording on that is so slow, and 10 times slower than it used to be. Now touch 1, touch 2. I wonder if you got paid for that, because I know it used to be an add-on. Madam Speaker, the ICTA has a lot of work. I hope this works. I really hope it works. But I'm not, Madam Speaker, the providers in this country, it's a money-making exercise. And they're killing us. People who are on fixed income can't even talk to their children anymore, because if they're at home and they got a fixed line, they're not gonna know. Pick it up, go call their child on a cellular. You never pay for it. It's ridiculous. And I ain't blaming the minister, I ain't blaming the government, Madam Speaker. But we got to do something about it. Something needs to be done. Every minute. They charge everything. Madam Speaker, I guess it don't make sense for me to say anymore. And make, what? The Premier said I'm repeating myself. Now, he don't need to talk this long, repeat himself, but anyway. Madam Speaker, I support it, but my plea to the minister is pay a little closer attention to it. Please, on behalf of the people of this country. I tried my best. But that same said guy was there, Madam Speaker. Couldn't do anything with him. Anyway, the member from North, I dealt with that. Anyway, Madam Speaker, thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Final call. Does any other member wish to speak? I'll call on the Honourable Minister to wind up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank those who spoke for their contributions, and I certainly intend to answer the questions that have been asked. I certainly intend to make comments on what has been said with regards the proposed amending bill. But on instructions of the Premier, I'm told...
So you're going to do the adjournment motion now?
No, I am not that brave, Madam Speaker, but I wanted to start my wind-up, but on the Premier's instructions, I will simply sit down because he is going to move the adjournment motion, Madam Speaker. I started my wind-up already.
Recognize Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the adjournment of this Honourable House until 10 o'clock on Wednesday, the 4th of May.
Thank you.
At 10 a.m.
I recognize the Honourable Premier. He's obtained consent to deal with 2 issues on adjournment. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to ask the Minister responsible for Cayman Airways to bring Cayman Airways here for an in-camera discussion with members, information purposes. I wish to know about the new plan for the new aircraft and to be informed on the cost, how financing will be executed, etc. He can choose the day and time, but I would hope for this week sometime as soon as he can make an arrangement, Madam Speaker. Also, Madam Speaker, if he would have the unit responsible for the vendors on the public beaches, West Bay, Jeddah, etc., to come and talk to some of us that might want to talk to them about the situation. There are people who rent different things. I don't know if they rent boats, but they do rent chairs. I believe they rent jet skis. And there are persons who sell conch shells and trinkets. So when it comes to insurance, which could be $1,000 per annum, all, Madam Speaker, cannot be treated the same as liability for renting jet skis shouldn't be the same as for selling a trinket, conch shell, etc. Those people, Madam Speaker, really live hand to mouth, day to day. And where there are cases, and I've talked to the counselor, there are cases that I know that they have to regulate. There has to be control, but there has also to be consideration of what is being done. And so I am asking if he could bring the unit and we could talk with either himself or the counselor and them to get an understanding exactly what it is they are trying to accomplish. As I said, I know there are different kinds of people, when I say kinds of people, different persons and different selling, and some is selling, some is renting jet skis. That's a real liability. But a trinket for $1,000, those people might make $20 a day, Madam Speaker. And so I would ask, and food, they're not doing a whole heap in food either. So I would ask that they would come and sit down and talk with us to see if we can find a solution, not to be able so that the government get the control that they need, because I understand what and how some people can carry on, but not everybody's alike. And while the government has to control and know what's and who is doing what on government property, but we need to really take into consideration those persons that are not making a whole heap of money. $1,000 per year for some of them is tough. So just to ask him if he could, again, to repeat myself, to come and with the unit and the counselor if the minister is not available at any point.
Honorable Deputy Premier.
Yes, Madam Speaker, thank you. I'd like to thank the Leader of the Opposition for the 2 questions and 2 requests. We are very happy to do everything we can to make sure the information is put out to all members of this Honorable House. Madam Speaker, I'll address the last request first. We have had an increase from tourism of 400,000 people from the year 2013 till the end of 2015. Anytime you're that successful and you have that kind of percentage increase, that's 400,000 people, there are going to be opportunities and there are going to be issues with growth. We didn't want to immediately do anything that would allow the vendors hardships that were making a living from that. And if you look at what has happened in the last 2 years, the pavilion by the cricket grounds was built, and it was built for local entrepreneurs to be able to have booths and to sell some of their wares. So we were also looking at the Georgetown craft market, how they could accommodate and take more people as well. I personally, along with Councillor as well, have been to the West Bay Beach. I've been to the beach by Calico Jacks and met with the people there. and there is a major concern for us. But it's a concern that we understand and realize that we have to address and we have to manage, and it will continue to be a concern as we continue to grow our tourism product. So we formed a committee that involved most of the areas that went across the ministries: DCI, police, immigration, Ministry of Tourism, and I think they've had success. Last 2 weeks ago, there was a raid there. There was involvement. There was understanding about how improvements in kiosks can be made. So we will ask the chairperson and some of the members who have the full knowledge of all the things that they're coordinating there to come and take input from honorable members. And look for a time that's convenient for everyone. Also, the Cayman Airways issue, Madam Speaker, I had already spoken to the chairman actually about the presentation that was done to ask them to come down and in camera here in the House, find a convenient time to let them do the presentation as well and answer whatever questions all honorable members might have. So again, Madam Speaker, I thank the Leader of the Opposition for bringing this up, and we're happy to accommodate it.
The question is that this honorable house be adjourned until Wednesday, 10 a.m. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The house now stands adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday